It's nearly the end of the year here, and we have already seen the yearly closure for CME, which is going to likely heavily influence where we see spot price action close. So today would be a great day to be looking at very high term timeframes, talking about the monthly, the quarterly, the semi-annual, and even the yearly as well. As we do ask the question, is Bitcoin likely to make new all-time highs in 2024? And when might that even be as well? Other than that, we'll look at a little bit of short term relative to that on the daily for Bitcoin. And besides all of that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Saturday morning over here. I got the energy of the gods right now because I just drank an energy drink for the first time in many years because I was tricked into it, but it's giving me the energy to fight like a crow right now, and I'm feeling good. So with that in mind, I think we should just get right into the analysis of the day. I have a few more announcements probably at the end of this video as well. But first things first, on the monthly right here, a couple things of significant interest. Again, understanding that, where things kind of are right now in terms of oscillators, in terms of reads, are probably where they're going to be tomorrow night, seeing as CME did close at 42,500 basically. And realistically, spot price action probably isn't going to deviate too much from that in the next day, even though things are down, a few $100 as of right now. But going back over here to Bitcoin spot price action, first things first on the monthly time frame, we can see that monthly volatility is at the lowest, basically some of the lowest levels that we've ever seen ever. Yeah, it was lower in 2013 or as low, but ultimately, things were pretty new back around then. I don't know how much I trust extreme low reads like that. It's like, what are you comparing it to, right? It just doesn't have enough history, but it was low, obviously. It's just, you really want to see a lot more data on the charts here. Anyways, that is going to be combined with an analysis of the monthly RSI right here, which, by the way, is reaching towards the bullish control zone for the first time in a few years, actually. Yeah, the last time we saw it was October of 2020, that most recent green vertical bar. And this has traditionally been, if we can reference the chart, an indication that things are ready to, trend up and to the right. Whoops, this one over here is not included. I should get rid of that one. And as we can see, Bitcoin, whenever we've seen the RSI get in that region, there were pullbacks, yes, in some cases, like rather severe, like this one over here in 2016. Things did come back down, 40% after a little bit more in the near term in terms of gains. But ultimately, those were all opportunities, is what I'm trying to say. And in this case, to what we're seeing right now, you're probably going to point out this first attempt into the bullish control zone in 2019 and say that Krown, this was, near kind of the top of that last major rally. Fair enough, yes, but what I would balance out that statement with is that volatility was completely different than what we were seeing right now. And when we have seen volatility low, or especially declining towards extreme lows, alongside that monthly RSI getting into the bullish control zone, I think the results kind of speak for themselves, honestly. So I'll just kind of leave that statement as it is. Also, in terms of the RSI, there does seem to be a bit of a fractured relationship here as well. If you do look at the 2018-2019 saga, especially, coming off that hidden bullish divergence right here, we do see that first major low, yes, and then that first kind of that first move up, that was that move up from about $4,000 to $14,000, and then that secondary higher low right here, where the RSI did reclaim the exponential on a close over closure basis, which has already happened over here. So we've kind of already seen that double trouble, if you will. Same thing in 2014 and 2016. Less so in 2011. Again, probably just too new here, unless if you like really dial in, maybe you could make the argument that that's the higher low on the monthly RSI. But again, it is suggesting that generally things will be up and to the right in 2024. There will be pullbacks, yes, but those pullbacks are likely opportunities. And as you can see, when Bitcoin really does like to trend on the monthly time frame, it likes to kind of ride that cyan moving average, and basically whenever it's broken it, it's been game over after that. Actually, in terms of the long-term trend, that's actually been pretty damn consistent throughout the history of Bitcoin. And kind of just judging, is the overall upside done? And it's been, funnily enough, pretty damn accurate. Anyways, my point is that right now that is all the way down around 32,000, 32,600. It will naturally rise up quite a fair bit, probably, if I had to guess, at least like 2,000, maybe 3,000 bucks, as January does open, putting it somewhere around 35,000, maybe 36,000. But ultimately, where I'm going with this is that, any sort of a correction down to that region, time independent of when that happens, is likely going to be the next big opportunity, which does kind of align with some of our other models. But I won't go over like so many bearish stuff today. I'll save that maybe for tomorrow's video, because I think that there are more pertinent things in the near term to be aware of. But yeah, moving on now, I should go over to the 3-month time frame, so the quarterly time frame here, and again, in terms of just judging, is Bitcoin likely to make new all-time highs in 2024? It's a hard chart to hate. Quarterly RSI, 1, 2, 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence, reclaim the exponential. It's very likely going to get its first tick into the bullish control zone in a very long time. Again, this is significantly different than April of 2019 on the failed attempt here from those $4,000 to $14,000 move, as the exponential was never reclaimed in this particular case. And in this case over here, I'd be looking at that as a damn good indication that Bitcoin's very likely to retest prior highs on a closing basis, which is basically 60,000 bucks anyways, within the next 2 periods, which would be a 6-month time frame. So again, in terms of timing it, Bitcoin probably retests all-time highs sometime around mid-year. If I had to guess as of right now. Taking this out even a step further, just looking at the semi-annual, same shit basically. Hidden bullish divergence on that last major low. We called this out quite some time ago, and it was a big portion of just generally looking for upside throughout this year, and it's likely to continue here as well as Bitcoin does close the 6-month time frame. Basically very, very close to its highs. So ultimately, I'd say when new all-time highs, probably the back half of 2024, if it's going to be happening, probably the back half of 2024. Again, anytime that the 6-month time frame has just generally been above that 9 exponential, it's like to kind of rally off that, actually on all 6-month time frames, which is really interesting as well. Anyways, moving on to the yearly, the 12-month time frame, we can see kind of the same thing, but ultimately, I think a lot of people are really concerned with the way that 2022 closed, and fair enough, there was cause to be concerned for sure. But with the way that 2023 went, obviously, just almost buying it back up above the high of 2022, that would have been the most obvious thing if we were going to see like tremendous amounts of continuation in 2024. But for right now, again, just looking at it, it's pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good. I know that a lot of people are going to say, Bitcoin's never had 2 negative years in a row. I don't care for that sort of analysis. It's just not enough history here. And traditionally speaking, anytime that Bitcoin has put in a negative year, it has essentially made new all-time highs within a couple of years from then. So, fair enough. In this case, that would still align with probably 2024. So, when new all-time highs, just looking at these, sort of more basic charts today without using too much other things, probably the back half of 2024, if I had to guess. Doesn't give us any indication about how high or anything like that. We have other videos for that, which perhaps we'll update on that, in early January. But for right now, things are kind of set up. But that does not blindly mean that Bitcoin's just going to go shoot to the heavens from exactly right now. That's a long time, 6 months to 12 months. What's going to happen, in that first 6 months? Probably some big pullbacks. And in fact, Bitcoin really kind of setting up here, as well on the daily, I should say. Yes, it has not necessarily triggered my, it's not triggered my anxiety. No, it's not triggered my conditions for a confirmed reversal here, at about 40,000 bucks by taking out the Monday 18th of December's low, which is 40,500. But it's getting damn close, to be honest. It's getting really, really close here. Here's the thing. If you're bullish on Bitcoin, which I think is still, you can definitely make an argument for, as it does still have these higher lows, you basically don't want to see it do anything that would put those higher lows in jeopardy as of right now. Even coming back down below yesterday's low, probably ain't gonna look too good at 41,300, but especially coming below the 18th of December's low, that's 40,500 below there. There's just no more excuses for it, and January is gonna be very likely open up on a pretty sizable pullback, down to like, before I was saying like 38,000 bucks. There's probably be bounces along, around there, but I would actually adjust that now to say more likely like 36-ish. So a bit of a bigger move there overall, if that were to happen. Again, that is still yet to happen, to be fair. 40,500 is kind of the line in the sand, again, on a daily closing basis, and bounces along the way, just below 39, I think is pretty obvious. Then you got another one somewhere around like just below 38. But ultimately, I do think that things would actually go a little bit further south. We'll go over a more long form and statistically based method of kind of judging that on tomorrow's video. I think that'd be a good time for that, as we do get a little more deep into this one. But for right now, Bitcoin's, it's kind of doing what we said in the past few days, coming back down to this 41.5 region. It's just, you don't want to see it hang around here for too long if it's going to put in a higher low. I'd say 2 days, two days, including today at, maximum. If Bitcoin really isn't reclaimed basically back above, especially Friday's high, which is about a little bit above 43,000 bucks, on a closing basis by Tuesday, the 2nd of January, say, this one's very likely coming down if that happens. So you slowly kind of you're slowly starting to see us kind of turn a little bit more short-term bearish, trying to time this as this past like 10 to 14 days has kind of progressed. Again, Bitcoin, as far as the 21st of December, that I believe really was its chance to continue on with this rally in the more near term. So as things do progress here, I'm just looking at this as likely to trade a little more sideways at best. But again, below the 18th of December's low, 40,500 yet again, extremely likely you're going to see a pretty sizable retracement into the mid 30s, or about mid 30s, I'd say. Anyways, as far as all sorters go, do we have anything else of particular interest here? Yeah, like I said, there is still certainly a bullish argument. In fact, the bullish argument is stronger, just because right now you do still have trend in your favor. It's just, that's why I put so much emphasis on the Monday, 18th of December's low. But like I said, as long as Bitcoin's below these numbers right here, it's just, especially as long as it's below the median, which is actually even significantly above there. Right now, it's still above 44,000 bucks, but should be coming down in the next closure or two, pretty severely. It's just it's more likely to come down. It's more likely to come down is what I'm trying to say. I'll give a little bit of insight into probably where I'm going to be taking tomorrow's video, because I do think that it warrants some more consideration. Again, we've spoken about a lot of bullish things on the higher term timeframes for Bitcoin, but again, that, Bitcoin can play out 30, 40% pullbacks and still be overall bullish. But looking at the 5-day right here, we're going to start to, or sorry, not the 5-day, but the 2-day time frame. We're going to start to, populate another one of these setups with the volatility versus stochastic momentum setup. And 2-day time frame stochastic momentum is positioned to the downside and going to be headed to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 44. The 5-day time frame is also doing the same thing as long as Bitcoin's below basically 44,250. So, in this case, the median actually does a really good job in kind of representing that. As long as Bitcoin's below that number, these next 3 days, it's gonna massively increase the probabilities that we do see a sizable retracement first. Off the top of my head, somewhere between like 20 to 40%. So, off the current highs right here, what's 20% down look like? 36,000 or so. What does 30% look like? 31,000. I don't think that we'll see something that big, just based off of what we spoke about before. But it could get kind of nasty in the more short term. Personally speaking, I do think that opening up January on a pretty sizable pullback is it's overall good. Things closed this year out, especially in traditional markets, so fucking max bullish. Most markets are poised for a pullback here, is what it's shaping up into. So yeah, I think that's a good place to be leaving off on this particular video. Again, we have the major areas of interest, kind of why those matter, and what to expect, if they are taken out. Again, if Bitcoin does reclaim the median here on the daily HPDR bands, expect a relatively quick-ish move to 47,000 plus, somewhere between like 47 to 49. But it's looking less and less like that's going to happen. But still, the bullish argument remains as long as it's above the Monday, 18th of December's low. And short term, could this be the next higher low right here? Yeah. But you'd be expecting it to reclaim at least 43,000 bucks on a closing basis, like very, very soon. I'd say 2 days, 3 days at most. So fair enough. Just my main point here is that the very long term still favors the upside. The very short term is going to start to favor the downside. But ultimately that should be a major opportunity. It should be a major opportunity. Now, of course, should is like a terrible word to be using as a trader, but maybe that's of relevant interest to you. Anyways, I've spoken enough there. I'm probably waffling on a little bit too much now, repeating myself. I want to make sure that I hit on my notes. I did, so that's good. Probably even did a little bit too much right there. Also, wanted to let you know the MetaSignals NFT has now, it hasn't sold out, but they are going on pause now because they hit their they hit their $800 mint mark. Is what I'm trying to say. So keep an eye out, maybe in like the next 2 to 3 months when they'll reopen if you're interested in such things, because they'll have new developments. But for right now, they really want to focus on developing those short signals and actually a new set of long signals as well, which is kind of cool. And we still got our own sale going on the Krown trading, not application, but website. All right. That's a good place for me to be leaving off. As always, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow for the last day of 2023.